Finally on. Okay, so welcome to Glow Up Cooking with Lindsay, where I'm sharing dishes designed to transform you physically, mentally, and emotionally from within so you can live an empowered, purposeful life, because what you put in your body will elevate your body, being mind, as well as cooking is very therapeutic. It's an art form, so anytime you do something like that, it is extremely healing, strengthening, and expanding. So it is our last episode of our, well, that was a little too excited, but it's our last episode of our Building Our Inner Champion, where we are overcoming self-doubt so we can conquer our dreams. So the first 3 episodes we focused on working on intimidating vegetables and fruit. We did the spaghetti squash, the pie pumpkin, the pomegranates, because working with those, especially the pie pumpkin and the pomegranates, we don't really see that often, only like maybe 2 months of the year, so we might not work with them. So just sharing with you and learning how to prepare them can just make us feel confident, and confident is transferable. So it's very cool in the kitchen that you can learn this type of stuff without actually doing a full-blown recipe. And today I want to switch things up. This is our last episode of the series, and I don't want to like just do another fruit or vegetable that was intimidating. I want to share more of a, what I like to call a technique, even though it could be considered a sub recipe or a nesting recipe. And we are going to do some apple pie filling, because I do think that we might be a little intimidated by this apple pie filling, because I don't think a lot of us do it. I think it can be a little bit intimidating. I think that the apple pie filling seems a lot harder than it is, really. I mean, at least that's what I felt like. But also, too, the only time we really use apple pie filling is when we make Thanksgiving apple pie. I don't know, I think apple pie, I don't really, or apple pie filling I don't really know what it does the rest of the year, right? So, however, I need to share with you how to make it, because I don't like ever using the word simple or easy, because I think it kind of starts negating or minimizes the actual recipe, and I don't want anybody to ever think that if something is easy or simple and they can't do it, it's gonna, then they start having non-confidence in the kitchen and cooking, whatever. But you'll see, it's not that, you'll be able to do it. I guarantee you will, because it isn't that difficult. And the thing is, with canned apple pie filling, I even just today looked at it, because I haven't looked at what's going on with that lately, because ever since I learned how to make apple pie filling, I'm not going to buy a can, because it's just like so much easier and so much more delicious and so much more nutritious. But every single apple pie filling I found has some sort of preservative, some sort of thickening agent, which is usually going to be a cornstarch, a modified food starch, and that's not good. It just doesn't taste good. And just a lot of sugar. They add a lot of sugar to homemade apple, or to this canned apple pie filling. So it is definitely worth it to do it on your own. And as you'll see, it's not that hard, and you can do it very easily, very cheaply, very accessibly. Okay, so what I've done so far is I peeled some apples. You're gonna wanna peel some more than this for an apple pie. I'm just doing this for demo purposes. So as far as what apple you want to use, I prefer to use the apples that I like. And my favorite apples, I love Gala apples and Fuji. They're the sweetest apples. A lot of people, for apple pie filling, they will use like Red Delicious, Honey Crisp, they're tart, but again, they're going to be adding sugar to the apple pie filling, so I suppose that balances out. I'm not going to be adding any kind of sugar to this apple pie filling. So this is why I like to use Gala and Fuji, but also too, I'm not a big Red Delicious, Honey Crisp, I don't know. I just rather use Gala and Fuji. Okay, so as far as chopping, you don't need to make these potato thin slices, so you don't need to break out the mandolin or anything. You just need, because they are gonna, like, as they soften, they're gonna get smaller. So I would say, I don't know, these are about a 1/4 inch or something like that. I mean, even if you make them a little bit bigger, it's not going to be that big of a deal because they do have a lot of water and they are going to, get smaller. Okay, so really, as you see, what I'm doing is I'm just cutting around the core. I don't know, a lot of recipes will say decor. Like, what the heck? Like, you don't need to buy a decor or anything like that. And yes, I don't like to have the peel. Even though the peel does have a lot of fiber, it's not gonna work for this recipe. So it's not gonna work for the apple pie filling. So just do this as fast. I'm gonna say do this as fast as you can. You know, apples do kind of like oxidize a little bit faster, so it'll start getting like brown. But honestly, even if it's get a little bit brown, it's gonna be okay, guys. Okay. So I just did 3 little apples. You're definitely going to want to do more, but again, for demo purposes. So what we're going to do, get like a stove pot. We have this apples, and we have a little bit of water inside, just about a couple of tablespoons. Don't get so crazy with knowing the measurements and everything like that. What's going to happen is we want enough this is cooked. The apples will release water because apples are 86% water, so they're going to release the water which you want, because then that means they're gonna start softening, and then we're gonna start adding a thickening agent, which is gonna help create that apple pie filling. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this on the stove. Let's go ahead and get this started on medium. We've got this on medium heat, and I will go ahead and put a lid on it. Okay, so we got that's how you gotta do to get started. Now we are going to, with this apple pie filling, we are going to create an apple pie, and this is going to lead us into our second lesson for this dish of how we're going to overcome self-doubt. We're going to do something a little bit different because, I've just really been focusing on working with uncomfortable produce and now a technique, or I guess some recipe, because anytime you do something uncomfortable, it's going to help increase our self-confidence. And when we increase our self-confidence, that's going to help us overcome self-doubt. Because the reason why I want to work on overcoming self-doubt is because whenever you want to conquer some dream, you have to do it doubtless. So our second lesson, which we're going to learn in our kitchen right now, or at least we're going to put into practice, is to understand that not every dream has a certain path. So what I mean by that is you don't have to, what one path is for somebody else in a dream is not what somebody is going to be for someone else. So what is going to be, there's no perfect path for building a business. There's no perfect path for having a healthy relationship. There's no perfect path for running a marathon. Any kind of dream, there's not the perfect path, because we all do have our own strengths and weaknesses, and also environmental, financial circumstances. And I think this is really important because we're in this day of age where, you know, we see everybody else, we see what everybody else is doing, we're comparing, and that like creeps self-doubt in ourselves. And that is not hold true, because what happens is if you feel like what somebody else is doing and you can't do that, it's going to really hold you back. So just understand that whatever dream you want to conquer, it doesn't have to be the same path. It doesn't have to be your mentor's path, you know? For instance, when I did my cookbook, when I started my cookbook, I didn't have all the skill sets. I had almost just like a stove pot and like a pan from Home Goods and like the lowest grade like oven and stuff like that. But what I did have was a message, and I just kind of focused on my other strengths of aesthetics and nutritional knowledge, and now I have a book. So just know what somebody else does, you know, don't behave like somebody else just because something else worked for somebody else and conquering a dream, a similar dream than yours. It doesn't mean that's the way it needs to be. It doesn't. Because, and you know, you can try it, and if it doesn't work, just keep going. A lot of times with doubt, I think we stop pursuing our dream a little too suddenly. I know I'm definitely guilty of this as well, because I start thinking, oh, when I start facing a hardship, that means it's a sign, but actually it's not a sign. Actually, it's exact opposite. It just is another phase for your growth and understanding. So the way we're going to do this lesson of that, not every path is similar, or not every path, just because some path worked for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you and conquering your dream, is because we're going to make a crust for this pumpkin pie. and it's not going to be what anybody normally does. It's going to be very non-traditional. Because, honestly, the traditional pumpkin pie crust that involves flour, I don't know how to do. I mean, I tried it once, like years ago, but ever since then I haven't, because I just didn't feel like it, because I don't really like working with flour that much. It just kind of gets all over the place, and it's just not the way I eat. And so but I do want to enjoy pumpkin pie, so I just figured out a way to make a crust that suits me, what suits my uniqueness and what I actually can do, and what I enjoy, and what I can also too, it's more nutritious, and so that's what I'm about anyway. So this is supposed to help translate the message that you can create something else, but in a different way, something that is more unique to you, authentic to you, and you can still serve others in what you want to do, okay? So I just think that's helpful to know, because I do think sometimes we might like, oh my God, I can't be a basketball player because I'm not 6 feet tall, but was it Muggsy Bogues was like very small, so just understand this. Okay, so already in this crust, I have some almonds. I already started them because when I put my almonds in my food processor, it gets like extremely loud. So I've already done the almonds, and what I'm gonna do, what I usually like to do, well, I'm gonna do it now, is I'm gonna start this food processor with my almonds. I'm gonna go the crust, almonds, dates, and figs. So here I have some dates. I've already chopped them up. You don't have to do that. It's just I'm trying to save time. So I go ahead, and while the almonds are running, I will put it in the blender. So I'm going to pour it in there. Just add it into the bowl. And it'll start to get sticky. Sorry, this is really loud here. Sorry, this is like totally bugging me. This is one of those things that you're allowed to do on live. So messed up. Okay. Here we go. So I'm just adding the dates. I'm also going to be adding some figs to this, some dried figs. Figs are also just like dates, they don't have any added sugar, but they have all these natural sugars. And figs are like very in the juice, everywhere. So we're going to keep going this till it gets sticky. Test it out. So the way to see if the crust is ready is you just put your hand in and see if it starts sticking together, and that's it. So perfect. Okay. All right. Let me start moving things around. Okay. This is when it's going to start getting a little bit messy. Okay. So I like when I make. Oh, sorry. I think this is making noise. Okay. Let me shift around. So I have the apples back here. They are starting to get softened, like the water is starting to increase because the apples are, you know, as they start cooking, a lot of their water is gonna be released because again, apples have a lot of water in them, which is what we want because they want to get softened. So we're gonna take something. I don't want to break up the apples, so I'm gonna use something very soft to like mix it, like this wooden flat spoon or something like that, to kind of see. Okay, perfect. So at this time, like they're starting to get softened, I'm going to add some cinnamon to them. I like to use Ceylon cinnamon. Ceylon cinnamon is, okay, so I first got interested in Ceylon cinnamon because it's known to help balance your blood sugar for 24 hours after ingesting it. And also too, it's not the store-bought cinnamon. It's something I always get online. And it's just like a lot stronger. It's very potent. So as much cinnamon as like, I think there's like, I don't know, 2 teaspoons or something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Looks like it's stuck to this bowl a little bit. So go ahead and bring it down. And at this point, you can like mix it, you know, as you like everything as it comes mixing together, it'll all like come together. Yeah, so we'll mix it to coat the apples. They are starting to soften. They definitely they just need a little bit more time. Okay, actually I know you guys are probably like, what the hell is going on? Okay, so at this time, this is what we have here. Alright. So we do have some water released. I mean, the apple pie filling is actually firm. It actually kind of looks not too bad, actually. I'm going to add, I'm just going to start thickening up I'm going to start thickening it up very soon. I'm just going to have it like release a little bit of water before I add my flour to it. Okay, yeah, so let's get back to the crust. Okay, so when I make a pie, I like to use springform pans because you can just quickly release them and they come out and so much better. So what I've done with my springform pan, I always like to line it with parchment paper, and then I do just brush the sides with coconut oil. I don't know if you always need to do that, but I don't know. It just kind of like makes me feel like a little bit safer or something. So I have this crust, and again, this is just almonds and dried figs and dried dates. And I always like to put it in my hands first and touch it, and then I just press it down. So yeah, so and then just kind of keep doing that throughout the bottom. It's sometimes, and then I don't know, sometimes I'll just pour it all in and I'll just press it like that. So with this said, this is a little bit of a sweeter crust than traditional pumpkin pie or apple pie or whatever. You know, that's usually just a flour crust, and that's probably why people add sugar to your apple pie filling. I'm not adding sugar to apple pie filling. I also, as I've gotten older, as I've, you know, adjusted my diet, when you start eating like whole foods, less processed foods, your sugar tolerance goes down. Okay, this might be a little too big of a crust, but that's okay because the rest is good. But anyway, so I already have so much sweetness in this crust, and I'm already have sweetness in the apples. I'm not going to add any sugar to the apple pie filling. So that's so cool. That's another reason why you should make your own apple pie filling, because you have the ability to control all that sugar intake. And honestly, like, oh my gosh, like the apple pie filling, for me, it's like sweet enough as it is when you make it yourself, and the natural apples. I mean, when you use your gallon Fuji, I suppose if you use Honeycrisp and Raw Delicious, I don't know, I guess those are tart or something, so it might not be as sweet. Okay, so I press everything down. What I like to do is I like to take a spoon. We'll use our Ceylon cinnamon spoon, and I like to just go around the edges and make sure it's like clean and everything. I feel like there might be a little bit of dry bits in here because I see some like light tan. This is again my fallacy of when I do these lives. I try to like, I kind of go a little bit faster than what I normally would do. But you do want to try to get it like even as much as you can. And even if it's not, who cares? Because that's the beauty of like handcrafted goods. Okay, so again, just kind of make sure it's like all sticky and stuff like that. Yeah, I think this is going to be great. Another thing you can add to the crust, you can add like walnuts and stuff like that, but we're not worried about that. Let's not get crazy. Okay, so I think that's good. Okay, this is what I've always whenever I like do something, like, it doesn't have to be perfect, and then I get obsessed because it's not. Okay, okay, so we got our crust. Beautiful. I need to go back to the apples, and actually first I need to like rinse my hands, and I actually need to rinse my food processor. As soon as you're done working with any kind of food processor or blender, it's really important that you want to clean it, because otherwise the stuff will stick there, and that just is not good, because it's harder to get off, okay? Oh. Alright. Oh my god. Okay. Alright, yeah. Definitely need to go back here. Okay, so what we have right now is our apples. Oh god, they smell so good. And actually, I'm gonna need to add a little bit more water to this, because it definitely just kind of needs it. It's probably because I didn't keep the lid on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you guys, because I think this is good anyway. Okay, so to thicken the sauce, to make the sauce, or to make, not the sauce, but you know how like you have that apple pie filling and it's always got that gel-like stuff that, you know, that surrounds it, that we're like, ooh, oh my god, how'd you get that? You know, and the way they get it is, well, in the canned apple pie filling is they'll add like the cornstarch, the modified food starch. That's all kind of thickening agents, and that's so they get that like gooey kind of like stuff. But we're gonna add, to make that thick, which I like to do as my thickening agent, is we're gonna add tapioca flour. Tapioca flour comes from cassava, the cassava plant. Cassava plant is a natural vegetable. It's also it's gluten-free. I mean, sure, it's got carbs, not straight up carbs, but it's just natural, it's gluten-free, and we're going to use a teaspoon of it. We're going to add a little bit of water to make what we call a slurry. I'm sure you may have heard this. A slurry is often the term found for, usually it's a cornstarch mix with water. And what you have to do is you have to mix it together just in a little bowl, just till like the water's dissolved and everything. Oh, thanks, Tiff. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. So what you do is, it's just the slurry, I don't know, it's just kind of wait till the tapioca starch dissolves, or whatever cornstarch dissolves, because if you just add the flour to your thing, it's just gonna like all bundle up and goop up. And this really, the purpose of this is to thicken up the sauce. This is to thicken up the water that is released from the apples, so that you can make this gelatinous, gooey thing. That's when we're like, I think that's when the apple pie filling is like, whoa, how'd you make this? When actually it's not that difficult. So once you add that, just start mixing it, and you will see immediately that the water, the release from the apples, will just start getting thickened, and you'll get that gooey thing this elusive gooey thing, which actually really isn't that hard. And now we have it in a gluten-free way, and just not even that a gluten-free way, just a non-like preservative crazy way. Okay, so we're gonna do something a little bit different. So we're not just making apple pie. We're gonna be adding, because you know we're always a pumpkin this series, we're gonna be adding our pumpkin. So we've added pumpkin into every recipe you did, and I actually, I want to do something different. And I just thought, so many times at Thanksgiving or whatever we're at, sometimes we want apple pie, sometimes we want pumpkin. Why not we like join forces and make it? So before I did this, like right before I did this, I realized that I still had my pumpkin mash from like last week, and I started mixing it around, and I was like, this is like, has a little bit too much water in it. And I did learn that when you make your own pumpkin mash, you may have to drain it before you make a pumpkin pie or something like that. All the recipes I did before, it didn't matter if the water was in there, because it was like a hummus, we were making a curry, it just didn't matter. But for something like a pumpkin pie where we need to get that water out. So I wanted to show you guys what I did, this makeshift thing. So what I had to do is I took some cheesecloth, which I'm already a little bit upset about because I think I cut too much of me being frugal, but it's okay, more is better. And so what I did is I add my clips, which you guys, whenever you guys have, as I just showed you that, it totally dropped, but you guys should definitely have clips in your kitchen. And I'm going to go ahead and take this out. I cannot believe, see, as soon as I did that, it like dipped in there. Gosh. Really? Okay, anyway, so yeah, so I clipped that in there, and I had all this water that released, and I'm just going to go and try to squeeze some more out that I just like dropped in there. And I feel like I need to check my apples because I feel like, hold on, let me, 1 second. All right, I'm getting a lot of lessons doing this. Okay, so we're gonna squeeze as much water as we can, and I feel like there's more now that I totally dropped it. But oh my god, this water came out, and I don't even think this is gonna cover it. Let me, hold on, I need to inspect this. Oh my god, as soon as I think I'm prepared, actually, that's pretty good. All right, let's drop it in there. Okay, so we're gonna just add this pumpkin layer. Oh my goodness. I don't know if it's gonna cover it all, but it looks good. Look how beautiful that looks. I mean, that is just such a beautiful orange. And again, yeah, I wish I had more. This is gonna, yes, okay, so I'm gonna spread it a layer on, just on the bottom enough. This definitely needs more. I actually thought I was going to have a smaller pie pan, but I don't know where it went. Okay, so anyway, but that's okay. So I'm going to spread this around, and so yeah, we're going to have our pumpkin layer. Okay, so it's like pumpkin butter, basically. Okay, and all right, that's going to have to work for me right now because... Okay, yeah, okay, enough of that. Okay, so we have a pumpkin layer. Okay, we want this to be bigger, but it's not right now. It's still gonna be good. Oh, God, okay. Lindsay, be okay with this. All right, let me show you what's going on now. As you can see, well, I hope you guys can see, everything has gotten thicker. With the pumpkin filling. Okay, we're going to set that aside, and I'm just going to show you pumpkin pie filling that I made yesterday. So here you go. So homemade pumpkin pie filling. It looks so good. You're going to be so happy you made this instead. It's just, you can make it ahead of time before whatever, which I would definitely suggest. It just looks, smells great. I did just put a cinnamon cube, or not, cinnamon stick inside. God, I'm doing great tonight, aren't I? A cinnamon stick inside, just as I like, so the cinnamon like interacted. As you can see, I didn't add any spices to the pumpkin either because I just kind of feel like I just don't need that. It's more to help create this like offset balance into more nutrients. Okay, so now we're gonna add the apple pie filling on top of the pumpkin. Okay. And again, I thought I was going to have a smaller pumpkin pie. I don't know what happened to, I just, actually I know what happened to my spring form. I threw one away because it got too, but it's still looking very good. It's still looking very nice. It's going to be better than, you know, getting all like tight over here. Crazy. Not tight. Okay, actually it looks really good. Okay, cool. Okay, so there you go for that part. Now, we're ready to open this guy up and see what we have. Let me clean my space. I really don't like it when I do things and there's like clutter. It like really bothers me. Again, this is the hardest thing for me when I do these things. Okay, so we have our pumpkin. You guys, pumpkin pie, you guys ready to see it? Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna open our spring form pan up, and this is what I love about it, and ta-da! Okay, so we're gonna, looks beautiful so far. Now we're just gonna finish off with the toppings. So we're gonna do some whipped cream on top. We're just gonna do coconut cream. So when you wanna do a whipped coconut cream, you are gonna have to whip it. Okay, so we'll take a bowl, which we'll just have to use this Big Daddy right here because that's all I have right now. So we're going to just spoon some out. We're almost done, guys. We're almost to the grand finale. And so, because you don't want to just goop it like that, right? You want to kind of mix it a little bit. So I like to use a whisker and just kind of get in there and just, you can always, a lot of times, sometimes they cream it, like they might add a little bit of maple syrup or something like that. You just, or you could add some lemon juice in it. You can see, this is why you kind of, okay, let me bring it over here. I don't know why I'm doing it over here. Things are difficult. Okay. Yeah. So you get a like, nice little workout in the kitchen as well. All these mind lessons, all this working out. Okay, cool. That's good. All right, let me just, I don't know if you guys can see this stuff. I just need to, give me 1 moment. Okay, perfect. Okay. I have problems. Okay. All right. All right, so we have this, and then something I didn't show you guys because honestly, I just figured it was gonna be like too hard because it was like over the stove, is this caramel sauce, which I need to show you guys because this caramel sauce, what it is made with, what I did is on the stove, I took some coconut sugar with a little bit of water, mixed it, let it dissolve, then I had some coconut cream and some vanilla, and that makes this caramel sauce. We're only going to use a little bit of it, and it's going to be super delicious, and it's totally like vegan and everything like that. Like, not like vegan, dairy-free. We're not focusing on vegan because that's not what we're necessarily about. But, okay, we are ready to finish off the recipe. We're ready to top this off. I think it looks beautiful, actually. It looks, doesn't this look good? So, let me get my pie cutter. Because yes, I have like every tool about man. So we're gonna cut into it. This I think it's gonna look great. The crust is I really want the pumpkin layer to be a little bit bigger, but you know what? Sometimes things happen for a reason. So oh my gosh. Okay. I don't know if I should be let me get my white plate. Oh, check it out. Looks pretty good, right? As long as I don't get my hair on it. Okay. Nothing but that. Okay. So here we go. You know what we're going to do? Then we're going to top it with some of this whipped cream. See, then we made it nice and fluffy. Which honestly, coconut cream tastes almost like ice cream. And then we're gonna finish it off with our caramel sauce. Let me get this fancy spoon that my dad had bought me. And so we got our caramel sauce. Oh, this is so thick. And then, here we go. I'm thinking like way too hard on this. This is so quiet over here. And that's our pumpkin pie. With honestly like no preservatives, no sugar added. Like, I mean, how can you not be so excited about this? I'm like super excited about it. I mean, just so cool. Yes, so this is your homemade pumpkin apple pie. It's just like literally like that apple pie filling. We could have used what I already made, but I chose to make over what I just made. But you could see how fast it was. The crust you saw, as far as even adding that pumpkin, you guys have seen before, it's really not that much. And then